became disengaged for very traumatic personal reasons. She was not doing so well in school, kind of dealing with her family things at home. We gave her wraparound services, we helped her, and then in conversations with her, the topic of what do you want to do when you graduate came up. And immediately she jumped into why the engineering pathway has been so important. She's one of 2 female students in the entire pathways. That changed because we kind of quadrupled those numbers for next year, and maybe we'll touch on that later on. But just the fact that she believes in this pathway so much, and she wants to be a mechanic. So it's not a linear engineering path, but it's relatable in the sense that she's been exposed to working with machinery, she's been exposed with working with gears and electrical work and so on, and it's motivated her to take a stance and say, I know this is a male, traditional male field, but I really, really want to go to mechanic school. And through some of those interventions, and then just having those conversations of, listen, let's work on getting those grades up, let's see if you can qualify for an internship, let's get the ball rolling on post-secondary goals. This young lady started doing good in school again, and is back to being engaged and passing her classes. But I think just the fact that we had something that we could offer her that was of interest, that sparked that idea, was everything to her when she was most at need. And she was most at need.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just add, I mean, echoing everything that everyone else has said, but also I think I'm excited about the potential to shift the narrative or change the narrative to be more expansive around how we define success and pathways to success. There's lots of on-ramps and off-ramps to different opportunities, and there is no one-size-fits-all, especially when you're young, and even when you're older. You know, there's just a lot of opportunity out there, and we want to make sure that we're opening all of those doors to students so that they don't shut doors before they've even known they were there in the first place. And I think that we also just want to see expansion and bring everyone along on the ride with this. And so I think connecting with teachers and school counselors and having everyone know what's in the building around the career pathways. And we are doing educator externships as well, which is having the educators in the school go out into the work site and get kind of invested and see how they can bring that learning back to the classroom. So it's just, it takes a village, and it's everybody getting involved and being aware of the opportunity and knowing that there's lots of paths to success for individuals.
Shannon, you have probably the most exposure across a variety of different schools and areas. So if you could keep your success story to 1 or 2 would be amazing, because I'm sure you have so many. But like in terms of how you've contributed to the pathways.
Sure. I mean, I think at a systems level, the fact that we are expanding kind of a structure. So we've been with We've been with Hartford Public High Schools since 2008 with the Engineering and Green Technology Pathway, which I think has been kind of a sleeper cell, kind of quiet opportunity that's now sort of exploded because of, and then there's also been the Travelers Pathways, both at here at Weaver with Insurance and Finance and at Information Technology and Pathways that have been running for a very long time, but now that they're we're kind of centralizing those opportunities with additional pathways that have been supported by the district directly. There's 2 new pathways at Buckley as of this year, both computer science and public service. There's a new pathway at Hartford High in allied health that's being sponsored by Hartford Healthcare, and then we're going to be bringing online the new journalism and media pathway here at Weaver starting next year. So the systems level view of 7 pathways across the district. The power and potential of that is enormous because we can learn from each other. We don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. When we learn what works well at Hartford High, we can bring that to Weaver. And when we learn what works well with Weaver, we can bring that to Buckley. And so it's just a really amazing community of practice and opportunity to learn from each other and build the momentum and energy around these pathways and have students like Brian learn about them, have families learn about it. Because for a while, I just don't think the awareness was out there that this opportunity was right under people's noses, and the structure is so much more just solid and consistent and you know, kind of carries through the different pathways in ways that also allows us to offer opportunities like when we have an event, the When Women Lead Conference. We are an affiliate of the Connecticut Business and Industry Association, so we have access to a lot of their programming, and their annual Women Lead Conference was 2 weeks ago. It's an exciting event across the state, huge presenters, and the first, they were doing a panel on STEM and the importance of building the STEM workforce, and they came to us and said, who do you think would be a good speaker for that? And we were like, Principal Padro, and so Principal Padro was on the panel, and then we had our team, Sarita and Carolina, program managers with Ready CT, who identified students who would like to be part of that event, and so we had 6 students from Hartford Public Schools, arranged all the field trip forms, all the details, and had them go down to Southington to be part of this big conference event. So those kinds of opportunities that can cut across the pathways, and then the students get to learn from each other in ways that they wouldn't have connected necessarily otherwise. So I think bringing that connection and also just allowing things to cross-pollinate in ways that bring that much more opportunity and access to students.
What's great about being in such a supportive role is seeing when they're interested and exposed to these different careers, what are the steps, what credentials do they need? And okay, they want to go to this school or Lincoln Tech or something. And okay, well, how do you apply? How do you do your FAFSA? And that's what sometimes the students don't under the families to either just have trouble with. Especially one thing I saw this year was the FAFSA wanted their 2020 taxes, but when they were doing their FAFSAs, they already did the 2021 taxes. They're like, no, we have a new one. I was like, yeah, but we're asking for last year. So just making sure that everyone's on the same page and checking all those small steps that it takes to get the credentials in order to do these pathways.
Rachel, so your exposure is relatively new, as you said, but are you able to talk about some of the success stories or that sort of feelings of progress towards success that you've experienced this year in working in the pathway?
Yeah, so we've gotten this far without talking about COVID, but COVID had a real impact. People had to be really flexible, and so one small success story that I'd like to share is something that we did to help with that. And so field trips, right? There were a lot of COVID protocols. They were scheduled, they were canceled. There was a lot of confusion. Not all of the schools, just what's going on in the world. And so what Travelers did is we brought a field trip to the school. So we brought about 20 or 30 of our fleet professionals to Weber, and we were able to serve over 70 students over the course of a half day on one of the Wednesdays, and we did a couple different rotations. So we did a claim response overview where the students competed against an artificial intelligence computer to predict property damage. And then we also did a claim technology demo. We had over 10 drones and certified drone pilots flying the drones around and demoing them and taking students' questions. And then we had our claim catastrophe response vehicle come. And so this is a full-sized RV that we drive into